Welcome back, everyone, to the seasonal wrap-up show. It's that time of year again where I go through all the shows from the past season, see what's good, see what isn't. Got 33 shows lined up for this one, and I already finished a couple from this year, leading off with some pretty fucking hot takes. But, yeah, this is everything I finished already that I haven't had time to just sit down and blab into the camera about, either because I did it for a video, or because I just watched it with my family, or I actually did do a video on it, like just a general review. I should probably... It's a little late to publish my thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen 0, but it was good. But anyway, we're going to get into this list. Now, much like the previous episode, we're going to save one show that I know I'm going to like for last, and that show this time is going to be Tropical Rouge Precure, because I like Precure, and I'm pretty fucking confident that I'm going to like this show. Maybe I won't, but who knows? So, aside from that, we've got 32 other TV series, OVAs, etc. So let's pull up the random number generator and see what our first pick is. 16, which is Shikakumon no Saikyo Kenja. Absolutely no fucking clue what that is. So what better way to start off this video? Let's jump into it. Alright, I made it about 6 minutes, I think, into... What's the title for this one? The Strongest Mage with the Weakest Crest. And I think that title should just about tell you everything you need to know about this anime if you are familiar with modern trends in fantasy anime. Because it is exactly what you think it is. Yada yada, character has the failure crest or whatever, but he's actually super strong, surprisingly. No idea how yet. I don't particularly care to find out because the writing in this is just so basic and uninteresting and just flat, full of unnecessary exposition that doesn't make sense to be spoken or thought in this world. It's fucking boring. And it's super flat looking too. Like there was a moment where the main character kills a monster off screen, but you can see like the shadow of the monster falling. And the way the shadow moves across the screen just looks so fucking bad that I'm just left there thinking like, well, Jesus Christ, if the shadow looked that bad, I can't imagine what the actual combat in this is going to look like. Although it did open with a really flashy light show explosion, so maybe there's more of that. I highly doubt it based on that shadow, but... Why am I talking this long about this anime? Why did I roll this anime first? No one gives a shit about this anime. Well, actually, that's exactly why I should talk about this anime, because that's the entire fucking reason why I do this fucking show, this fucking seasonal wrap-up shit, is to find the shit that no one's talking about and see if it's good or not. Because I can very easily ascertain, just through Twitter, whether or not I'm going to like a show at this point, but only if it's one of the more popular shows. Like, I already have an opinion on... Not an opinion, but I already have an inkling towards what I will feel about My Dress Up Darling, or Akebi-chan, or any of the other really popular shows from this previous season. But it's the other shows... It's the ones that nobody gave a shit about that I'm really fascinated by. And I want to find out whether they're good or not. Sometimes you get really great hidden gems, and other times you just get shit like this that's about as generic as it possibly can fucking be. And I question why I do this. But, yeah, this one's super boring. I gave up when the super powerful main character started getting flustered when a girl touched him. So, yeah, about done with that. Let's move on. Alright, Shikakumon off the list. I also forgot that, that Roman bathhouse show was airing this season, so I added that. That's going to be a running theme if you're unfamiliar with how I do this is occasionally I will come across a show that I forgot to put on the list, so I just gotta add it at some point. So anyway, we're gonna keep it at 32 since we're still ending on Precure. Let's see what's next. 32. You know, what are the fucking odds of that? Alright, let's watch this. Let's Thermae, Romae, Novae. My Latin is non-existent. Let's give it a go. Alright, I made it through 7 minutes of the Roman bathhouse show, so 1 minute longer than the last anime, so we're making progress. I don't get this one. Like, it's listed as a comedy slice of life show, and I get the slice of life stuff, kind of, but it's not funny at all. But that's not really the reason why I dropped it. The biggest reason why I dropped it is it fucking looks like ass. Not in like the animation is bad way, although the animation certainly isn't the best. It's not exactly blowing me away with Sakuga or solid character designs or anything like that. What really bugs me about this one is the color design. Like this, it looks like they smeared poop over everything. Like that's the color palette of this show. It looks icky. It looks grimy. It's not pleasant to look at all. Like take the aesthetic of the first season of Attack on Titan and like add in like a little more like puke green. And that's the aesthetic of this show. And it's real fucking gross to look at. And I wasn't expecting a lot from Studio Naz, N-A-Z, who brought us such works as, what was it, that one sister fucking show where she's like a light novel author or whatever, the one where like the production famously fell apart as the show went on. They did that one. They did the Mongol invasion one, which apparently the director for this show was an effects producer for the Mongol invasion anime. So that tracks, because I was going to say, like, there's a weird aesthetic filter over this shit. Not as obvious as it is with the Mongol invasion show, but it definitely reminds me a lot of that show in terms of how it looks. And that's not a good thing. This is a real not pleasant looking show. Not in a good way. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be unpleasant looking. It's just not a good aesthetic at all. And also the writing is super fucking basic and uninteresting. Like, I was literally just calling out every single event, every single action for like a solid minute and a half. I was predicting it. I was predicting every single thing that would happen. And it wasn't interesting, so let's move on. Alright. Thermae is off the list. Let's see what's next. 1. Orbital Children. Okay, this one sounds like it was interesting based on what I've heard about it. This is the Mitsuo Itso one. Iso one, I think. The guy who did Dental Coil, whatever his name is. Let's jump into it. Alright, I just finished all of the Orbital Children, and I really liked that. I'm kind of shocked by how much I liked that short little anime. Only 6 episodes, but I really liked that shit. That was a very pleasant surprise. This one's a hard sci-fi series, and normally I'm not super into hard sci-fi. I've never really found a lot of it to be my jam. I've always been much more of a fantasy person than a hard sci-fi kind of person. But I think what stuck to me with this one was just how perfectly a lot of the technology was integrated into this. It's not like super far-flung sci-fi. It's kind of like near-future stuff. I think it takes place in like 2045, I think. And so most of the technology is still very familiar, but it also like makes some logical guesses as to where certain technologies will progress in the future. Like one of the most obvious examples of this is that I think they call them smarts, I think, where it's basically just patches of what I assume are nano machines that are just on your skin. Most notably, they appear as like gloves on your hand, and they're just computers that you can access, and they have all different they have different applications that you can use with them. That's one of the things I really like about the world building, I guess, of this show, is that it just kind of goes with it. It doesn't like try to come up with massive, like, far-flung concepts for the most part. It takes what we're already familiar with and goes what it thinks is the next step, or what would be an interesting next step. And that makes it pretty accessible. I will say, though, you do kind of have to at least be familiar with technology for some of this, because it doesn't exactly hold your hand either. Like, in fact, I would say it does the opposite of hold your hand. It almost rarely explains its technology. It explains how they can use their technology to do certain things, but it never like just sits down and it rarely sits down and explains to you, this is a thing that exists, this is what it does. It very rarely does that. Like, one of the more obvious examples of this is what they call peer comms, which I guess is peer communication. And it's they never sit you down and explain what peer-to-peer networking is. I know what it is because that's how I watched this fucking show. Because I don't have Netflix. But it never, like, it expects you to be on its level of intelligence. It expects you to understand the concepts that it's throwing out at you. It expects you to be on that level, which I'm totally fine with. If you're not on that level, you're probably going to be lost. Like, if you don't know what peer-to-peer is, there's an entire episode that's just going to boop out of your brain. Like, you will not understand any of it. But I appreciate it for taking that risk. I appreciate it for judging me to be smart enough to understand it. So that's one of the things I really liked. The other thing I really liked on the technology side of it, bleeding into the thematic side of it, and this is once again your reminder that my seasonal wrap-up show contains spoilers for the entirety of the show that I watch if I finish it. So, spoilers coming in now. Go watch Orbital Children. It's only like 6 episodes. It's super fucking good. Go watch it. But, so yeah, spoilers. So, it ends up having a very positive take on emergent AI technology. Like, pretty much ever since 2001: A Space Odyssey, and probably even before that, we've kind of had it drilled into our head that once AI becomes smarter than humans, they are going to be a threat to us completely. Like, you see it in 2001, you see it in Terminator, you see it in The Matrix, all these big tentpole sci-fi series the AI are the bad guys. And in this show, it starts off with people assuming that AI are the bad guys. Like the UN literally puts limiting software on AI so that they can't be as smart as they could be. But by the end of the show, you realize that they're basically handicapping the potential for AI to have a positive effect on humanity. And so it really flips the script and is just like, yeah, but what if... Sure, yeah, sure, the AI could destroy humanity, but what if they don't want to? What if the AI actually does want to help humanity? It has so much AI-based sci-fi has such a very negative outlook on it in a lot of ways, or at least the big popular franchises do. So it was very pleasant to see a more positive outlook on it. Like there was actually a scene where I started tearing up a little bit. I forgot what the line was. It was like they were saying are you really going to show the AI all the ugly parts of the world? Because basically they're going to they're going to flood this super intelligent AI with the entirety of human knowledge. And so they're like, you're going to show it everything? Even all this, you're going to show it how ugly the world is? And then one of the characters, Konoha, says, this world isn't ugly at all. And then I actually teared up a little bit at that. I'm like, God damn, that was fucking Kino shit right there. Oh, man, I love that. I think this is going to shift my direction of preferential media for a little bit. I've kind of been on a bit of a doom and gloom kick in terms of the media that I consume, but I think this might have flipped a little switch in my brain where I kind of want more positive stuff now. If it's going to be this good at being positive, I definitely want more of this. And it really didn't hit me until that line that it kind of has been building up that theme throughout the whole show. Humanity does have its ugly parts, but it also has its beautiful parts. And you kind of have to take both of those and then judge for yourself what you think of it in the end. And that was just really cool. I really liked this. Aside from that, the characters are all super fun and lovely and pleasant, just super fun and enjoyable to watch. One of them is a fucking YouTuber, a live streaming YouTuber. She's super cute and also acts exactly like a fucking YouTuber. I feel attacked. But, loved her. Loved all the characters in this show, especially the main character, Toya, just the way he develops over the course of this. It's pretty straightforward, very basic development, but you like this kid well enough to be like, yes, yeah, I do like this. I've seen this character arc 1,000 times already, and I'll see it 1,000 more times if it's this good. So yeah, there were some points in the narrative where it felt a little childish, I guess, which I think is sort of the point in a lot of ways. It's supposed to kind of invoke this childlike sense of wonder of yeah, the future actually does have an infinite amount of possibilities. And so I can kind of get the tone in that sense, but in other senses, plot-wise, there are certain contrivances that pop up that are oh, what did we have to do that? Not too many, not enough to derail my experience, but they are there. So yeah, narratively, really solid show. Visually, I would say it's a bit more of a mixed bag, but I would also say it's still very solid looking overall. Fucking love the character designs. They feel so fresh compared to everything else in the industry. I think it's the same designer as Den-O Coil, which is also the same from the same director, Mitsuo Iso. I would have to look up more of what this character designer has done, because I definitely want more of this. These very distinct, but also kind of familiar designs, and they're also just super flexible and fluid, and you're able to do a lot with these designs in animation, which I think is one of the show's strengths. Is they really go out of the box with the cinematography and just general shot composition a lot with this show, and you get some really cool angles, some really cool layouts. The characters are able to move around well in this space, and most of it's set in space, so there's a lot of zero gravity stuff going on, so you get these characters flipping around all over the place, and it just looks really good when it does that. Most of the time. Because sometimes, a little bit more than sometimes, it subs in some CG models, and they don't look quite as good. I will say, they're not the worst CG models I've seen, mostly because they're still really colorful, and the color design on this show is just super fucking good. They also don't fuck with the frame rate. I think they pretty much kept the same frame rate as the show. Like, it never gets higher than 24, I don't think. I don't think it gets higher than 24 frames per second, at least to my memory, so it's not super jarring, but you can definitely tell the texture of the models is kind of different from the texture of the animation, so it does pop up every now and then. And also the bit of a kind of a nitpick, but also you see it all the time in the show, is the line work on the character designs looks kind of weird. It's not consistent line work. Like, the lines are not of a consistent thickness. And sometimes that's not an issue, but a lot of times it makes the characters look, just looks a little off, is what I guess that's the only way I can describe it. It looks like I'm seeing the lines of it. I'm seeing something that I shouldn't be seeing, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. And I guess that's another pretty minor complaint in this grand scheme of things. Yeah, I really liked this show. This feels like something from, like, the 80s. Like, concept-wise, it feels like something that fell out of the 80s when they were just on this big sci-fi mecha boom and just exploring weird concepts with sci-fi and just having compact run. Yeah, it feels like an 80s OVA, but without the tits. Yeah, I really enjoyed this show. So, let's go to the list and see where it ranks. Alright, Orbital Children is done, and we're gonna make it my number one for the year so far. We're gonna give that a light 8. Had a couple issues here and there that kept it from being a little higher, but a good shit overall. Would recommend. Anyway, on to the next show. What we got 30 left plus Precure. Let's see what we get. 27. Koroshi Ai. I've no clue what this is. I'm going to guess it's a romance thing because it's got love in the title. Let's give it a go. Well, technically I was right in that it was a romance show. Definitely not the kind I was expecting, though. I watched about half an episode of Love of Kill, which is the English title. It's just kind of boring. Like, these characters are just so flat and hollow and uninteresting. I would have hoped that I would have at least some kind of characteristic of them aside from the girl is quiet and the guy is super pushy. I was hoping for like more than one defining personality trait by the time I got halfway through the first episode, but no. No, it did not. And I don't see it getting that much deeper from there, since the writing's not particularly good either. Also not a very good looking show. It's over-polished in the wrong areas. Like, it tries to make itself look pretty, but the color design is just not solid, and the character designs are not interesting at all. And it's also not really well animated. It's barely animated is what I should call it. Although the gore shots, the bloody shots are pretty good. The kills are not too shabby. But yeah, I'm just fucking bored with this one. It's so little of interest is happening. So let's move on. Alright, Kuroshi Ai is off the list. Let's see who's next. 6. Oh boy, it's Takagi-san. Now, season 3 was the one that aired this season, but I never got around to finishing season 2, so I'm going to go back and watch that. So, it's going to take a little bit to get through this, but let's do it. Alright, I just binged all of Takagi-san season 3. Actually, I binged seasons 2 and 3 because I had actually dropped the second season right when it first started, but I decided to give this show another chance. Just on a whim, really, and also based on what everyone's been saying about season 3. And I actually really liked season 2. Like, I don't know why I dropped it last time. I guess I was just kind of bored or something. I think that was in my one of my Blitzkrieg videos, actually, where it was the one where it went to Netflix jail or whatever. But, yeah, I loved season 2. That was some good shit. The 2 seasons are starting to bleed together in my head, but overall, I am continuously shocked by this franchise, not only in how entertaining it is, but also this is one of the few anime nowadays where each season has better production value than the previous season. Like, nowadays with anime, it's just sort of like you get into this sequel rut where the seasons wear on and the staff just gets tired of making it, and it just gets dragged out, and the anime's already over fucking burdened with production issues in general. But this one, and I guess Kaguya-sama, are like the exceptions where it's like the sequels actually keep getting better. There's some, not only some really fucking solid animation in this, and also this season 3 definitely has the least amount of jank. Like, the previous seasons of Takagi kind of had some pretty notable jank moments in it. But this season not only has the least amount of jank, but it also has some of the best pieces of animation and the best cinematography and color work and just general presentation. I never thought I would say this, but Takagi-san has become a good-looking show. This is a pretty good-looking show. There's still a couple awkward staging, blocking moments here and there, but overall, I'm surprised at how far this franchise has come, visually and narratively, because I've actually covered Takagi-san twice in videos before. Once in the Blitzkrieg, and the other was when I did the first season of 12 Days of Anime, where I compared it to Pop Team Epic in terms of being a adaptation of a comedy manga. Where I was like, look at Pop Team Epic doing all this awesome, weird, inventive shit that makes it way stronger than its source material. And then over here we have Takagi-san just kind of being a standard kind of uninventive adaptation. And I haven't seen season 1 in a while, but from what I remember about it, I would still stand by that about season 1. Season 1 is it's not bad, but it's a super straightforward adaptation of the manga. And from what I've heard, seasons 2 and even more so season 3 is where the production team starts to take more narrative risks and narrative liberties with the source material, where it actually starts adding in anime original stuff to make this story stronger, to make the through line of Nishikata and Takagi growing closer to each other stronger. And season 3 had so many fucking good moments of this. The play scene. I fucking love when anime does the school festival and then they do a ripoff of Romeo and Juliet. Fucking love that shit. Give me all of that all the time. Loved it in Nisekoi. Loved it in Cardcaptor Sakura. Give me more of this shit. I loved it in Takagi-san. It's good. The Christmas episode was so fucking good. The last 2 episodes where they really actually put the gas on the drama a little bit and put some serious tension in it was really engrossing, and you really want these two to get together. They're just so fucking perfect for each other. It's great. But we also have the roadblock of Nishikata really does not get that Takagi is super into him, and in a lesser show that would be a negative, because how do you not tell with how many fucking hints she keeps dropping? But also, Nishikata is a bona fide idiot. So it does make, well, in certain ways. In other ways, he's very creative and inventive, but in general, he's presented as not a super intelligent or quick-witted guy. Except when it comes to Takagi teasing him and him trying to get an advantage over her. But I like how Nishikata's personality is constructed. Yeah, all of the characters in this is super likable. I've even really come to love the Three Stooges trio of girls in this, who I really did not care for at all in season 1, but they've really grown on me so far. And just the whole ensemble in general, the way they flesh out different romances and stuff with Hojo and Hamaguchi, I think his name is. And then we have the other two, whose names I forget. Shows we get a variety of different relationships, and that's really cool. What else was I gonna say? Oh, the fucking voice acting in this show might be some of the best voice acting that I've ever seen from anime. Definitely from comedy anime. Some of the best voice acting I've ever seen. Because we have Ria Takahashi as Takagi, who I believe is also Megumin in Konosuba, and she just absolutely nails this fucking part. This calm, collected Takagi. But we also get those moments where she breaks a little bit, just a little, for a fraction of a second. And you catch it in her voice, and it's so fucking perfect. And meanwhile, we have fucking Yuki Kaji being Nishikata, fucking Eren from Attack on Titan, which aired during this same season. We had Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 airing during Takagi Season 3. So you had those two extremes of voice acting. This dude is a fucking titan of the voice acting world at this point, and he really struts his stuff with Nishikata. There's a lot of variance in his performance, a lot of breadth, a lot of flexibility, just good shit. I really fucking like this show. It is cute and wholesome and fucking hilarious and just so goddamn fun to watch. I am so excited for the movie. I hope the movie goes full anime original or takes at least a couple things from the manga, but goes mostly anime original and just ends the story. Like, we've been getting flash forwards. I know there's like a manga spin-off of Takagi-san where it shows them in the future that are married, I guess. And we've been getting flashes of that throughout season 2 and 3. And I hope the movie just just ends on the relationship, like getting into the relationship. Because, like, I could definitely watch more seasons of Takagi-san if they keep being this good. But I think with the announcement of a movie, I think now would be the perfect time to just hit it out of the park with a big, solid finale. I'm fine if it's not that, but I think now is the time to just really nail it. So, yeah, that's Takagi-san Season 3. Fucking loved it. This show just keeps getting better and better with each season, which is super surprising. If you like wholesome rom-coms, give it a go. This is good shit.
Alright. It didn't take very long at all, but Orbital Children got overtaken. Takagi-san Season 3 gets a decent 8. That was some fucking good shit.